big objective in the museum, isn't it? We thought about having a whole class challenge, and we are in the process of having a video made by a sailor. He's not done it for us yet, but it's going to be like a mission video to play to the class, to the children, before they even come to the museum, and the whole of the class are going to have to find out all they can about HMS Dauntless. In fact, they won't even know that there was a change in ships. And then really what we want to do is we've spent a lot of time thinking about how can you organise 30 children roughly into groups with inside and the use of the activity room. So we've come up with 6 challenges, and we've focused it on the main areas that are likely to be in there. So we've got humanitarian, popular culture, jobs within the Navy, life on board the ship, trade, and changes. We want to look at sort of the role of women and ethnic minorities. So all the children are grouped into a small group, and the idea being that they become experts in that one area, so that when they come back to class, you've got a million things that you can do to teach the others. And so far, I mean, we've linked it all with the objectives, being that they will be, but that was our sort of starting point. We've got like an overall objective for the visit, which is to find out and select information about events, people and changes from a range of sources, and record information relevant to the focus of your inquiry. So that's sort of the big objective. And we've put together sort of a bit of a success criteria, so that for whatever challenge you've got, we want the children to find out about dates, passing of time, duration, main events, how the technology has changed, identify places and problems. So it's sort of a key success criteria that goes across all of them. And then each of the groups ideally would be led by an adult, and because it's kind of going to be quite prescriptive, it doesn't matter if it's a parent, helper or a teaching assistant or the teacher themselves. And they have the card with sort of some key questions, which at the moment are very basic. We've kind of got things sort of like, what are the key jobs, how the jobs changed, what's life like on board. So as a starting point, so they go around, and the idea being that in their groups they can access the different part in the museum that they need to, and one group at the same time might be in the activity centre working on that, and then say one group can go and use the timeline and access what they can on that. So that's the 6 of those. Might be worth, I don't know, pass around and just sort of have a quick read of them. And then the other thing we've begun to put together into the teaching pack is practical follow-up activities, but we've kept them really brief at the moment because there's no point going into huge detail until we know exactly what's going on. But it's things like using philosophy for children in the class, getting the children to write their own diary entries, things like drama, Mantle of the Expert we've come up with, designing a new HMS Dauntless. We've got mathematical links, we've got to do with the Sea Fox and battleships as well, using ICT and logo programs. So it's just ways of everything they collated in all the facts that they collated, to bring it back and think about how you're going to use that to put together a final piece, and at some point getting the children to go from group to group as that expert to sort of teach the rest of the children. So it's an ongoing topic, if you like. And we've got a little bit really about how to use the activity area, which has been a little bit more challenging, hasn't it? But we thought really, because you've got this area, we talked a lot about the use of the display, and if the children are going to be putting together a display whilst they're in there, then whatever they put in the display will focus on their challenge.
Yeah, so the idea of the display is, in the activity area there's going to be sets of drawers and bits and pieces where we're going to have real artefacts, and the children are going to have a display case. And they can write their own labels and they can choose their own artefacts. So I think the idea was, if you had groups which had individual challenges, they would then be able to focus on the particular artefacts rather than just going crazy and just putting all sorts of things everywhere. So that they would have a bit of guidance on what to do. And then we've also, one of the things we talked quite a bit about was how you then can use that when you go back to school. So is it a way of recording it or capturing what they've done in terms of photographs or something like that. So we've been sort of thinking about that, so that what you do in the museum doesn't just happen in the museum and then it's finished. It's like you can then actually do stuff with it when you get back to school, and that's what you've been thinking about.
Yeah, we put a lot of ICT links in here as well. We try to keep it kind of sort of at the forefront because it is kind of important. And one of the things we did originally look at was study with, although that's obviously to do with whether or not there's funding for it. But we've gone away and thought, well, if you can't do that, how else can we get the kids? So it could be simple things like taking a video recorder with you, or getting the children to take photographs or something like that. So then they've got a physical way of recording it there and then, rather than note taking, because especially sort of with your lower key stage 2, that's not really going to happen. They won't walk around and make notes.
possibly using like microphones and stuff so they can record each other.
Well, I mean, schools are investing more in iPods and iPads and stuff now, so it's a facility that they're going to have more access to in the future, I think.
So we just wanted to present it and just see. I mean, I've seen lots of nodding, so that's good. So this is sort of a good approach that you think in terms of, you know, just supporting a group with something that they can kind of, you know, a clear challenge and something that they can then go away with and then come back to at school.
Yeah, and I like the idea that you sent, because obviously you probably would have an adult per group, especially, well, you would at Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2, wouldn't you? So it's nice that they're all going off and doing different things, and then you can feed back and build on that when you get back to the classroom.
I think the idea that they've got a sort of something to motivate them, to hook them, like with the video, that would be really useful, I think.
We're going to develop it more, because one of the other things is that we did was to go look in the attic and look at some of the objects. So we've got a few ideas of some of the key objects, and that's why we tried to come up with these 6 areas relating to what is available. But obviously that's going to be something until it's decided exactly what's going in. We can't really extend on the sort of things you want to ask the children.
But this, we were hoping, can be like a really good template. You know, when the students have been working on it, the idea that this is a basis that then once we know more details about things, that it can be adapted. If we have a temporary exhibition, you can introduce a new challenge and things like that. So it's got a bit of flexibility, but it just means there's something there that schools get in advance to just sort of support it and knowing which areas that they can focus on. You don't end up trying to put 30 kids in exactly the same bit of the gallery for the whole time.
That'd be good.
So you think thumbs up?
Yeah,
I think it sounds like a
definitely.
good
Definitely.
principle.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other questions for teachers?
Yeah, any more questions?
Is there any feedback or anything that you think you might change that's going to be problematic?
Just the question: how wide are we going to put the questions? Because I've got one here: how have women's roles changed in the Navy changed? So would we as teachers give them a start date that they're looking at, or how would we?
I mean, we could leave that up to you, and I suppose at the moment we wouldn't know anymore because we don't know exactly anymore. But I suppose that'd be something that we would want to know what you would prefer. I mean, some teachers might want it really, really prescriptive, but then we also do want to sort of state that's what you should do, because we want to keep it slightly open, because some people will have more expertise and direct it. Especially when you do your topic, it's there needs to be sort of leniency to be able to tailor it to the topic that you're doing as well. So we're trying to keep it fairly broad, but just the ideas.
And I think as well, I mean, at the moment, some of the questions they're fairly general because the gallery isn't built yet. And once the gallery is built, that would be something that we could revisit and be much more specific about, you know, particular areas that we would look at. Because working on the object briefs and the kind of plan of the gallery, that's been sort of that's the kind of focus that we've had. So yeah, I think that it could be a more specific question, or you could want a really general question, and then, you know, it's up to the kids to kind of prioritise what they think is significant. I think it would depend on the group.
As far as selecting the tasks go, we also thought you could always not pick 6 of them and just pick maybe 3 of them and have 2 groups per thing. So then you've got a bit more support. So it kind of gives you more flexibility within your class as to what the needs are. So you can have 6 different. If you have a class that's higher ability, you might want those 6 aspects to feed into your topic. You might only want 2 or 3. So it's.
And we also did talk about, didn't we? That's something that could be added in potentially, is having the kids be able to come up with one of their own questions that they want to discover the answer to as well. So in addition to the ones you suggest, then you might say to them, right, you also need to come up. Your group needs to come up with something it wants to discover.
Yeah.
And then they've got, you know, that sort of challenge to look at as well, which is what we talked about, wasn't it?
And would you differentiate packs between key stages?
We've only looked at Key Stage 2.
Yeah.
But obviously there's definitely scope there for those to be differentiated.
That's something that the museum would, would look at doing, having some different ones for Key Stage 3, and obviously linked into the curriculum, but also with this early years. So, you know, with the different tone and
because you can see the type of questions.
Yeah.
That's why it's a little bit more open.
But it's certainly a good starting point.
Yeah.
So as a teacher, it'd be great to get that, because you'd think, right, okay, so I can have one group doing this. I might just change the questions a bit. But you won't have to start from scratch and go and see the museum and then decide on your 6 areas. So, yeah, it's certainly a good resource.
Excellent. Thank you.